Griveth, once home to the most wondrous kingdom the world had ever known, blasted to nothing in just a fortnight. It is here that the fiends of hell walk among us. It is here where all things die. Welcome to Griveth. Demon invaders roam the landscape and have conquered all. The world is a ravaged and wrathful wasteland where the old world lies buried beneath the blood and sand with its gods and its secrets. Water is fought over with blood and steel. Compatible with the 5th edition of the world's oldest fantasy role-playing game, this book contains all new character creation options, including all of the familiar classes with new aspects befitting the ravaged wastelands of Griveth, along with new backgrounds, subclasses, spells, feats, and so much more. New races will allow you to play as the Cursed Ash Elves, the Forsaken Humans, the Primordial Incarnate, the Proud Orcs, the Reptilian Suri, or the Infernal-Blooded Tieflings. New game mechanics such as blood, grit, and effort give your games an intense focus on lethality and survival. Numerous roll tables full of ideas to help bring your games to life. Featuring incredible thematic art by Brandis Gilhelm of Runehammer Games, as well as Lloyd Collins. The people of Griveth are not heroes. In Griveth it is courage just to survive. Will you rise to face the tide of demons, or will you succumb to the hostile elements? Available now on DriveThruRPG.com.
Hi and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for stopping by and for checking out this particular video. And for my usual followers and subscribers, thank you as well for taking your time today to see what's going on. For those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, you may not know that I've become a part of a group called the MUFFINS, and this is something that sort of developed all on its own. It involves myself and 2 other women. We have Eris from Eris Savad Designs, as well as Kelly the Opera Geek. And basically, we just kind of get up to some crazy antics on Twitter with each other as well as our followers. If you're on Twitter and you have an account, just use the hashtag TerraMuffins and you'll see what I'm talking about. But anyways, these 2 women have become very good friends of mine, and we have been enjoying each other's company and just chatting with each other on a daily basis. Now, because of the camaraderie that we've developed and the fun we've been having with other people, Capri Creations took it upon himself to create this really cool design, which I'm going to show you right over here. And this is the design that has sort of started this whole thing that's going to be happening. I'm going to explain in a minute. But he was kind enough to create this for us, and he gave us clearance to use it for whatever we'd like to. However, none of us felt comfortable using it as a for-profit, for ourselves type of thing. That's where the idea came to me, where maybe we could do something that's more fundraiser based with it. And to get started, I wanted to go with a cause that is something that is rather close to home. I'm coming upon the 3-year anniversary of losing a close friend to domestic violence. Because of that, I thought it'd be appropriate that we use this particular design and the merchandise that we're offering for it as a means to raise funds to donate to a local charity in my area that helps women who have experienced domestic violence and are trying to get out and trying to improve their lives. So what we thought we'd do is share this with everyone, and from now through the month of October, all sales, the profits are going to be donated to this particular charity. I'm going to have all the information down in the link below so that for those who want to do the research can do the research and decide if this is a facility you feel you'd like to back as well. I completely respect it and I understand that you want to know where your money is going. I do the same thing. But if you would like to help us with this particular cause and support the awareness for domestic violence, please check out all the links down below. It has everything you'll need in there. If you have any questions, you can always find us on Twitter. I'll have all of our ats in the description as well. You can also email me at thecraftingmuse.email@gmail.com. Thank you so much for taking a little bit of time to watch this. I very much appreciate it. I hope you have a great day, and please consider getting yourself some Terra Muffin merchandise, and it's all for a good cause. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is the Sunless Citadel. And I am joined by 4 crafty individuals who are with us each week as we play Dungeons and Dragons for fun and giggles. That's not the saying. I don't know what's happening. 2 things real quick. Sorry, we've been off for a couple weeks from this campaign, but 3 of the players were here last week, where Jay, known as JTD&DDM, who's hanging out in the Twitch chat, played in a one-shot, just a fantastic one-shot, called Salvage Operation. Be sure to check that out on Mini Terrain Domain on YouTube. We had a blast. And I'm certain that more than 2 of us were drinking during that. So that may have contributed to the fun. But real quick, before I introduce these awesome players, I run 2 promos at the top of the stream for 2 things that are pretty cool. One is this amazing thing that V and a couple others, the Terra Muffins, have put together with the shirts for the fundraiser. So I'm going to tilt my camera down just a little bit. I'm representing. I bought a Terra Muffins t-shirt with the money going for the shelter that was outlined in the video that you saw beforehand. And V has also posted the links to where you can get your own Terra Muffins t-shirt in both the Twitch and the YouTube chat. Very worthwhile cause, and I will proudly explain to everybody who asks just what the heck a Terra Muffin is. The other thing is, we run Griveth promos before a lot of games. Pretty much anything that Megan is in, because Megan's one of the co-authors of Dun Dun Dun, the Griveth Ravage Wasteland. That is not what it's called. It's called the Ravage Wasteland of Griveth. It is an incredibly awesome book full of just so much awesome. I mean, look at that. Random page I turned to. Amazing art, amazing layout. So I saw a independent review on YouTube today where somebody said this is a great stand-in for the Dark Sun campaign setting. And I do have plans at some point in time to run a mini campaign in this setting. But if you head over to, I believe it's on a, I don't even know anymore if it's a Point to Inspire or Stereotypical Strider or Marquise. But Marquise, who plays in our Tomb of Annihilation game, ran a 7-episode mini campaign called The Last 7 Days, where Megan and Connor were both players, as well as a couple other, Giannis and, help me out, Megan, Jason. Jason was the other player in that. Just phenomenal book. And it is available on DriveThruRPG right now. So, that's enough about that stuff. So let's get into our player introductions. And I'm going to start with Jeremy. I'm going to start in the lower corner. Tell us who you are, who you're playing, and what your favorite fruit is.
Wow, way to put me on the spot. So, everybody, I am Jeremy. I have the YouTube channel, the Erasmus Expeditions, where I run live plays, have crafting videos, a couple, as well as talk about RPGs and things of that nature. I'm also 1/3 of the Dudes of Yore podcast, which can also be found on YouTube with my good friends Jeff Doty and Chad Nick. You should go check it out. I am going to be stepping back into the boots of Talmud, the Dwarven Barbarian, and I am really, really excited to be back here. As far as my favorite fruit goes, I'm going to throw a curveball at you early. It's an avocado.
All right, I will accept that. And then we're going to stick on the bottom here and head on over to Megan.
Hello, everyone. I'm Megan. I won't go go too much more into the... Oh, sorry. I am half of the YouTube channel, Dice on Ice. And we've been running actually quite a few games on there over the last couple of days, which has been a lot of fun. We've been playtesting some new content that we've been working on. So go check that out. And yes, thank you so much, Jake, for promoting our book. It's something that we're really super proud of. So thank you so much for giving it a platform. I will be playing Vi tonight, the not druid. And so it's so much fun to come back and play with these awesome players. As far as a fruit, all right, I'm not going to be as scandalous as as Jeremy. I'm gonna have to say watermelon.
All right, and then we are going to go straight up above Megan to Mr. Scotty.
Hey guys, I'm DM Scotty, and I like to craft stuff. So it was kind of fun. I just this last weekend I got to go visit my daughter who lives in Asheville, North Carolina, and I'm going to be at Mace in November. And I was playtesting my one shot with full terrain and everything. So it was a lot of fun. I got to slap all on the table and see how it worked, and it was a blast. We all had fun, and it was kind of like a middle of the earth expedition where they're drilling down to this pocket of it's like a prehistoric land, and it's going to be really cool. So I'm excited. But yeah, I like to craft and DM and play also. This has been great. I've been able to play with these guys, and I'm playing Griveth, this old warrior who has found the faith, and he's trying to spread the faith as well as not be a jerk paladin. So it's been a lot of fun, and yeah, that's it. I'm DM Scotty.
Favorite fruit?
Oh yes. Hey, who doesn't like bananas? Come on. I mean, so versatile.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least, it's V.
Hello, everyone. I'm V, and I have the YouTube channel, The Crafting Muse, and I also have a presence on Facebook and on Twitter and on Instagram. If you want to come over and find me there, that would be fantastic. As Jake showed you his lovely shirt, there is that fundraiser going on right now, and it's going to go all through the month of October because October is Domestic Violence Awareness, and the money is going to be going to a very reputable charity in my area, so it's all for a very good cause. And yeah, I'm excited to see what Scotty pulled together because I'm going to be playing that game at Mace. I'm excited. But also very excited to get playing this game tonight too because it's Thursdays and we get to play.
And what's your favorite fruit?
Raspberries.
You said in the chat potato, but I suspect that's because that's where vodka comes from.
Well, actually, I do like vodka too, so that'll work.
And we have one more shout out. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to take all 9 of these domain dice away from you guys because our friend of the show, Chameleon Fam, popped in at the top of the stream, dropping another $20, granting you 4 more domain dice. Guys, I don't have a graphic for anything bigger than 10. So I'm going to see if I can cheat this somehow. Oh,
There you go.
that worked. That worked. I don't know how it's going to work when you guys spend those. I'll grab a wet erase marker and mark them on my monitor. I don't know. So you have 14 domain dice. You guys, again, because of Chameleon, in the one shot, Chameleon came in and dropped domain dice right at the top. Plus, I had given them some, and they had burned through those things like mad, actually altering their fate in the last minutes with the domain dice. So they're a fun way to involve the audience. And dang it, there's more from Jay. You guys are up to 15. I definitely don't have a graphic for that. So beyond this right now, I'm just going to write 15 over here on the side. And I'm going to start working on additional, for larger amounts and stuff, additional ways that the audience can play with your fate. You know what I would really love to do is give the audience an opportunity to give individual players critical successes and critical failures. I'm gonna do some looking into that. But for now, the domain dice rule, and you have a lot to adjust your fate. Started out in the town of Oakhurst. Some of you have been in the region for as little as a couple months, where some have been there for several months. One has been there for about a year, and one has been there for about 15 years. Every once or twice a year, around midsummer or midwinter, Goblin Emissary mysteriously shows up with a magic apple that they sell to the town. The town is able to use the properties of this apple to heal people. They are unable to successfully grow anything from the seeds because they suspect they're being stolen by the goblins before they reach sapling, because they're always gone and they can never catch them. Also, mysteriously, the head of the general store and a big player, some would say secretly running the town rather than the governor, is Carowyn Hukreely, who her son and her daughter, Talgan and Sharwin, had taken up with an adventuring party a couple months ago and had gone missing, suspected to have gone exploring into the so-called Sunless Citadel. Our party decided to take on both mysteries, followed the Goblin Emissary, and found the Sunless Citadel deep into a chasm where they nearly died walking down the stairs. I like to remind them of that every time. Then, Talmud was the one that fell down the stairs, and then Griveth almost fell off the cliff, and Talmud walked straight into a trap. All kinds of classic D&D dungeon crawl faux pas and excitement. They began their journey through the Citadel, encountering a weeping kobold by the name of Meepo, who told them that the kobolds had a small dragon by the name of Caltrix that had been stolen by goblins. Meepo took the party to meet Yggdrasil, the sort of self-appointed kobold queen of the Citadel, and sent Meepo along with the party to go into Goblin Territory and to investigate what the heck is going on. Where is their dragon? And there has been mention in here throughout about a mysterious, several years ago, a mysterious druid came through the area. So there's that too. Meepo led the party through a dark tunnel, unoccupied, through a few twists, into a room, and then opened a door leading into a final area. And as that door opens, and Meepo says, "Beware, there are going to be..." He what he said is basically, "Beware, there be goblins." As he opens the door, and that is where we are going to pick up, as you have just entered into this next room. The room is about 25 feet by 20 feet. It's about 25 feet wide, about 20 feet across. You can see on the other side of the room, there is a hallway leading further on into darkness. Immediately to the right is an ornate fountain that is built into the eastern wall. Though it is cracked and stained, the fountain's overarching carving of a diving dragon retains its beauty. A relief carved stone door stands in the western wall. Dust and odd bits of stony debris and rubble are scattered all across the floor. Meepo, almost involuntarily, reaches out. Who would have been immediately following Meepo? Talmud? You feel a small, scaling, trembling hand slide into yours as Meepo, like a frightened child, tries to hold your hand.
Excuse me. We are not really on that kind of stage of our relationship yet.
This is where the goblins are, and the goblins have our cowstrix.
So you said, yes. And I think we're supposed to be trying to get him back for you, but if we're going to run into goblins, I'm going to need both of my hands for Gerta. Try not to be jealous, Meepo.
Okay. Who would be behind Talmud? Anybody?
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that.
I'm bringing up the rear.
I'd feel I'd be in the front.
I think actually it's probably Vi that Meepo just immediately kind of steps over to, and he doesn't grab your hand, but you feel him grabbing hold of your, like, the edge of your robes or cloak or whatever. And he just kind of, if you look over at him, you being a human, you tower over him a bit. He just kind of looks up at you with these big, wet, yellow eyes. And his lip kind of trembling.
Vi she looks from Talmud down to Meepo, back to Talmud, and just kind of gives like this, like, but she doesn't say anything to him. She just kind of takes her hand and just kind of, and lets him hold on to her cloak.
All right, so you have this room with a door on the western wall and a fountain that takes up the entirety. It actually arches out into like a half circle, a little less than a half circle, but arches into the room, taking up the entirety of the eastern wall. And there is a relief carving of what looks like a dragon about to dive into the water, if there were actually water in the fountain. And there's a hallway to the north.
So Talmud will cautiously, slowly approach the fountain, just enough so that he can actually kind of peek over the edge and look into the basin.
You can see that there is you kind of get the scent, besides the dry air that you've smelled the whole time you've been in here, and the sort of, there's been this underlying scent of decay the whole time that you've been in here. You catch that mildewy scent, but it's kind of old and faded as you see this thin layer of scummy, like the residue, almost like a soap scum left behind, and it's kind of dried. It has a slight greenish tint to it, but otherwise the fountain appears to be dry.
Just look at the craftsmanship on this fountain. Have you ever seen something so beautiful? Scotty.
Cantriel, do you know anything about this fountain? Does it...
Outside we have another dragon that looks like it's about to go swimming again. I mean, between his knowledge of the stonework being well made, and can I tell by looking at this dragon if it looks like the one we saw over at the Kobolds?
Similar, not quite the same. Go ahead and, if you are at the fountain, specifically looking at it, which Talmud, I know you are, and Cantriel, go ahead and give me perception checks.
Would my stone cunning have any effect on this?
You're not really, well, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to say yes. We've already established that this entire structure has a dwarven architecture to it.
And that is a 16.
And how'd you do, Cantriel?
9.
So, you're just seeing a scummy fountain, Cantriel. You see the dragon appears similar, slightly different pose than the one you had seen previously. But Talmud, as you're looking around it, and in particular, drawn to the stones that make up the outer edge of it, you almost miss it, and then you see on the front edge of the basin, very worn, faded, almost worn away, there appears to be some kind of runes carved into the front. And based on the previous experience with runes in here, they look similar to the ones that you saw when you first entered the Citadel that were Draconic. Unfortunately, you don't read Draconic.
I do not. However, I know somebody who does. And loath though he may be to do so, Talmud will kind of look over his shoulder and say, excuse me, elf. You read this scribbly-gook. What does this say?
Well, you're right, I can read it. Dwarf.
Would you care
It's very interesting.
to read it to everyone?
Maybe if you asked her nicely, you might have a problem with names. Do you think you should get that checked out?
No, bear lady, I'm fine.
I think we should just start calling him Dunderhead.
That's what my uncle used to call me all the time.
Oh, wonderful. Then you'll be quick to answer that one, won't you?
So, would you please, and he kind of looks over at Vi, as if like, yeah? Please, tell the rest of us what it says.
Well, if you insist. What does it say?
So, yes, once you guys quit bickering amongst yourselves and Talmud actually has to point it out to you, you can see just faintly the words, "Let there be fire."
It's basically saying, let there be fire.
As you say these words aloud, you hear a sort of bloop, 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 issuing from where the diving dragon is positioned over the fountain. And then you hear, coming from its mouth, this sort of and then a thick red liquid begins pouring out of the dragon's mouth, filling the basin.
At first,
Or rather, it just starts to accumulate into the basin. It kind of sputters a little bit, like pipes that have been had a lot of air in them, and then suddenly, with the last gurgle, the red liquid begins to accumulate in the basin.
If I would approach this red liquid, is there any kind of smell coming from it that would suggest that it, or what it could be?
Give me a perception check.
As a soldier, I know the smell of blood, and I've seen gallons of blood spilled. What does this remind me of? Blood?
The hue tends a little bit towards the orange spectrum from red, though it is a bright red. It's a little too much in that orange spectrum to even look like fresh flowing arterial blood that you've seen on the battlefield. You don't smell that coppery tinge that you would normally smell from blood. How did you do, Vi, on your...
I got a 25.
And you don't smell blood. You smell what almost smells like a little bit of that crackling energy that we know as ozone, but when there's magical electricity that arcs through the air, there's a little hint of campfire, brimstone, sulfur, and just that faint hint of, I think with your experience and with that role, you can detect a faint essence of something imbued with magic. Though, based purely on smell, you can't tell any more about it in a magical sense.
She would ever so slightly take her forefinger and just kind of just tap the top of this puddle. Is it?
It's viscous.
Just trying to see if it's hot to the touch or.
It's warm.
This is quite odd.
Don't taste it.
Does Meepo seem to recognize it?
I kind of imagine that you don't really say this, but just everybody sort of suddenly looks, kind of slowly turns their heads looking expectantly at Meepo. And Meepo is just sort of kind of got his hands on the edge of the basin and is kind of leaning in, almost like a curious puppy, and kind of dipping in with his finger and kind of tracing it around. And as he pulls it up, it has just enough viscosity that it seems to linger for a moment. And then he kind of looks back and senses all of you looking at him. What?
Do you know what this is, Meepo?
Red water?
Your wit astounds, Meepo. Thank you.
You get this often where you are.
Meepo had never seen this before. I wonder if it tastes any good. And he sticks his finger in it.
Meepo, don't taste it.
No, shush.
We don't need a taste test.
No, he does it. Oh, he's really going after that.
He kind of belches, and a small gout of flame goes. Oh! He starts like, what is? Am I on fire?
Do you normally breathe fire?
I don't breathe fire. I've never done that before. And nothing happens.
Do we have a torch currently lit?
Yeah, you guys, for the humans, have been keeping a torch lit.
Yeah.
I think Griveth has it, doesn't he? Don't you? Yeah.
So Talmu's going to take his finger and dip it in this liquid, and then he's actually going to kind of fling it into the flame of the torch.
You take just like a few drops,
Yeah,
or a
like
big goop?
No, just maybe like a dime size. Yeah, dollop.
It kind of hisses like liquid hitting hot embers, and just a small segment of the torch sputters for a moment, and then continues to burn as normal. It does not appear to be a flammable liquid. Vi, why don't you go ahead on the heels of your perception check and give me a Arcana check. Sorry, forgot what it was called.
Got a 9.
And I would say I believe actually Griveth and Cantriel, you're both magic users. You could make at this point you could make Arcana checks as well. Don't forget you have 15 domain dice at your disposal.
21.
Almost exclusively courtesy of Chameleon.
I got a 21 on that.
I blew it.
Cantriel, based on what you saw with Meepo and the way it reacted but didn't seem to be a volatile liquid when Talmud threw it at the fire, you think that this could be essentially like a potion but in fountain form that would allow one to breathe fire if they were to imbue it or imbibe it.
Have you ever had that dragon's breath potion in your possession ever? Because it's looking like this could be similar to that. Whereas if you drink a little bit, you can fire a little bit. At least that's the best I can think of. Anyone have an empty flask, maybe? And she pointedly looks at Talmud.
Yeah, he'll pull out maybe one of the bottles of the Kirgan ale. He says, "You know, it almost seems sacrilegious at this point, but it may come in handy, I suppose." And he'll kind of dip it into the surface of this liquid, and kind of try to fill this.
Wait,
bottle.
isn't that still full of beer?
Oh, is it? No, then I'm not doing that.
Because you were given 2 full bottles of Kirgan.
Yeah, then no. If it's not empty, I'm not doing that.
I think Vi would have, being a apothecary owner or worker, she would have brought some sort of small series of vials and containers and stuff like that. I think what she would do is maybe she has a few of them that are already full of something, and you just hear her like quickly reach into her bag, and you hear the sound of clinking glass, and she takes one out, she looks at it, has this strange metallic liquid, she puts it back in, she takes another one out, has the fermented head of some small rodent. She shakes her head, she's like, no, we'll need that for later. And she takes out one, and it just has this few granular substance in it, kind of looks like salt or something white, and she takes it out and she kind of dumps it, and with that she would fill up with this red liquid.
All right. Give me another, as you fill this up, give me another Arcana check.
All of us or just Vi?
I'm going to say Vi first.
Can I use a domain die since we have 15? Because I got a 5.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So now the display is accurate at 14.
That's why I did it, yeah.
Okay.
That's a 12.
All right, go ahead, and Griveth and Cantriel, if you wish, you can also make Arcana checks. I think your eyes are a little too much on the shimmering red liquid that you've just collected, knowing what it's potentially able to do.
That's a 19.
That's a 12 for me.
Griveth, you don't really notice anything spectacular, but Cantriel, you notice that as Vi scoops up this liquid and kind of corks the vial, the liquid that's in the fountain sort of loses some of that shimmer. It now just looks like a dull red-orange liquid. And after a few moments, there's some more sputtering from the dragon mouth, and it stops issuing forth this liquid with maybe 6 inches of this red liquid now in there. It appears to have lost its magical properties now.
Well, I'd hate to say it, but I think you get some and you lose the rest as a result. Best to keep it in a safe spot on your robes there.
Megan, if you look on page 187 of your DMG, if you happen to have that handy, you will find this. You don't have to do that. I can tell you if you guys end up using it soon, but basically mark that you have 1 potion of fire breath at your disposal. I think, again, because of the shorter nature of this series, I'll just tell you what it does. You can get the specific details, but basically once you imbibe it, the effects are available to you for 1 hour. And you basically have 3 instances of breathing fire. Once you expel 3 instances, it is no longer in effect, or when the hour passes, it's no longer in effect. Requires a DC 13 saving throw and deals 4d6 of fire damage, or half on a successful save. So that is now in your inventory. Yeah. All right, so what would you like to do?
So this whole time that we're examining this fountain and this kind of thing, Griveth is watching Meepo, and he was upset about going. He's scared, right? I mean, does he legitimately seem scared about going this way?
Give me an insight check.
12.
He does, from what you can tell, he appears to be scared. Not like terrified, but just trepidatious. He's definitely not taking the lead, moving anywhere. There are sounds issuing from down, further in the depths, and you'll see him every once in a while, kind of like a dog or a cat. The ears just suddenly kind of, and he's like.
And Griveth is a man of the world, so he's not gullible, and he's gonna keep an eye on Meepo, like an eye at all times on Meepo, as we move forward.
Okay.
You said that the door in the western wall was also stone carved.
Whoops, that's the wrong book. I have my DMG covering the module. Yes, there is a relief carving on the western door.
So Talmud is definitely headed there next. Again, like an entire door carved out of stone is something he probably hasn't seen in a while. So that's certainly piqued his interest.
All right. So you check out the door. And no roll is necessary. As you look at this door, it has a relief carving of skeletal dragons all around it. And there appears to be another inscription written in the, as Talmud put it so eloquently, scribbledygook.
He walks up and he's kind of looking at these skeletal dragons, just kind of awestruck. And then he gets to the writing and he just kind of... Oh, Cantriel? I hope I'm saying it right.
Oh, you remembered I have a name.
Aye. Would you please, and he kind of turns and looks towards Vi again, come over to this door. There's more of this beautiful writing that you so eloquently are able to read.
Cantriel is going to start walking towards the door, and as she passes by Vi, there might be some hope for this one yet. And she says it only so Vi can hear that one, and then she just keeps walking up, and she goes to look at the door and the runes.
Okay. Clearly inscribed in this door, the edges surrounded by these carvings of skeletal dragons, are the words, "Rebuke the dead, open the way." And as both of you would notice, as you get closer to this door, the air is noticeably cooler. Within 5 feet of this door, the air seems to drop by almost 10 degrees.
Well, it doesn't exactly seem the most promising of turn of phrases, and considering what happened when I said what was on the fountain, I'm a little more reluctant to say it exactly, but it has something to do with undead, rebuking them, and opening things up.
And I think Vi would look to Griveth. That sounds like something you would know about. Right up your alley.
Would I?
Would you know about undead?
Know what I know about the saying.
I mean,
Of course I know about undead.
the words just say, "Rebuke the dead, open the way." It's not like a famous quote or anything. You hear Meepo just say, "Oh, brr," as he's kind of come a little bit closer, and kind of shivers at the coolness of the door and pointedly steps back to where it's a little bit warmer.
Where are you taking us to, Meepo?
Meepo, does it get like this often where you are? With the random chills?
You keep asking me that.
What
I
did the
don't.
dead
This
have
is
to do with
Goblin Territory. I don't go over here. We
But you
stay
don't
on
have
our
anything like this
side.
on your side?
What do the dead have to do with goblins?
The goblins just moved in over here. They've been here for a while, but they did not make this place.
Don't they fear the dead?
I don't think they want to be dead.
Goblins are superstitious creatures. They fear the dead things.
But you seem to know a lot more about the goblins than even Meepo does.
I've heard goblins never play with dead things.
What else have you heard? Because I agree with Meatball here. You seem to know a lot more than he.
Do humans usually play with dead things?
That depends on the human.
I see.
So the goblins are brave enough to be in this area with the dead. I find that unusual.
But
Meepo.
what does a rebuki mean? I know they were dead and opened the way, but I don't know this word rebuki.
It's rebuke, sweetheart.
Oh, rebuke. What is rebuke?
It's something that she's very good at.
Oh, it's a good thing. Then maybe we should go in here.
No, it's really not. It means to nitpick or bicker with, to yell at.
To forsake.
There you go. Yeah.
So maybe if we yell at the dead, then the door will open.
Sure,
I don't
go
think
for it.
shouting at the dead's going to raise much of anything. At least I hope not.
But there is also this way, and Meepo points to the north where there's an open archway leading to further darkened chambers.
So, Griveth, do we leave this door behind? Hope that it stays shut.
Considering what just happened with the fountain, I'm not exactly going to say what I'm seeing again. Let's just put it that way.
I mean, I could try to open the door and see what is on the other side. I will yell at the dead for you. You're not
No,
dead
no.
peoples!
Meatball, darling, you don't have to do that.
So Meepo, you're saying this is the way to go, not the other way.
Meepo doesn't know. I took you to the door. I said, here be goblins. That's the extent of my knowledge. We are now in Goblin Territory. I've never been here before. I don't really like it.
I'm with you on that one. I'm not liking the fact it's feeling a wee bit chillier over in this one particular section.
You know, maybe this is where the goblins take Caltrix. Because it's always cold around Caltrix. I will try the door. And Meepo reaches for the door's handle.
I would take many, many steps back.
I take him to
Yeah, I'm stepping back as well. It's
defensive position. Shield in hand.
As Meepo reaches for the door. Hold on. Too many books. Sorry, that's not a thing. I don't have too many books. There's no such thing. I just piled too many books on top of my monster manual. I need to see how many hit points Meepo has.
1.
And what his AC is, because I can't remember it. But somebody roll
5
me.
or 7.
Somebody roll me a D20.
Talmud, you do it.
There is an 8 on that die.
So with a +5 to hit, that is going to be a 13. As you hear the sound of metal on stone, and it slides for a moment, and you hear sing, and this there's a flash of torchlight reflected on silvered metal as a scything blade comes sweeping across in front of the door where Meepo was just reaching out to try to open it. And Meepo gets hit by the scything blade. And as the blade comes by, and Talmud, I'd like you to go ahead and roll me a D8 to see how much damage Meepo is going to take.
I rolled a 1.
Meepo just barely gets his hand out of the way in time. And as he pulls his hand back, he kind of cries out, "Ah!" And there's a little flash of blood, and a few scales drop onto the ground. And he jumps back, and you see this blade go shing and slide up into the ceiling, where you can now kind of see that there's a very thin, it seems to almost line up with the mortar lines, area where this scythe trap was concealed in the ceiling. And then Meepo's kind of holding his hand up against his chest as he looks around at all of you, his eyes wide. I don't think we should go this way. This is not the way that Meepo wants to go.
Talmud comes over and puts his hand on Meepo's shoulder. Meepo, you and I are now kindred spirits. I know how you feel.
He kind of looks puzzled for a moment, not fully comprehending what you're meaning. But then he just seems to... He kind of looks over at your hand on his shoulder, and then he just kind of does one of these, like... and like nuzzles your hand.
Yes. That's... Well, I'll just use some soap later, and everything will be fine.
So, Meepo definitely thinks we should go that way.
Lead the way, fearless guide.
What about it being cold here?
It can be cold other places too. That place hurts.
For once, I agree with Meepo.
Wonders never cease. Meepo, let me see your hand.
He's kind of like shielding it, kind of doing that thing where like little kids do when they get hurt and they don't want you to see.
Come on, Meepo. Just show me your hand. I want to see how badly you got cut.
I'm pretty sure that my hand is going to fall off.
Well, here's to hoping that won't happen.
And he holds it up, and it's literally like a couple scales got swiped off, and it was enough to draw blood and leave a raw mark on the back of his hand.
Oh, this is just someone who got a little carried away with a manicure. You're going to be just fine.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure Meepo's going to die.
Would it help if I put a bandage over it?
Meepo thinks that's probably the best thing that you could do.
Cantriel bends over and she has like these ruffles at the edge of her skirt, so she rips off one of the ruffles and just sort of wraps it around his hand a couple times. Kind of like, Mom puts a Band-Aid on, but it's not really a Band-Aid.
To Meepo, you just like reinvigorated him. He's just like, oh, I feel so much better now. Meepo definitely not going to die. Maybe I should try the door again.
No, we're done with the door, dear. But just let's go the other way. And I pat him on the head a couple times.
Okay, maybe we go this way. And he starts to move towards the open archway.
Almud will follow him, but maybe
we should look a little carefully around edges of entrances, gentlemen, considering the two are in the lead.
So
your track record isn't exactly the best between the two of you.
Meepo and Talmud, the club-footed claymore activators, are leading the charge.
That seems like a good, some wise advice, Cantriel. We have seemed to have run into a few traps.
Yes, I'm starting to wonder about the mental health of the people who built this place.
That, or you can hire yourself out to a rogue and help them find traps a little easier.
Well, yeah, I suppose that maybe I could take a look before we step through it.
I have heard of this rogue for hire named Tibus.
Ah, the legend of Tibus.
Yes, but wasn't he still recuperating from his return?
So, you're going to check for traps? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, I'm gonna attempt it at least. It's not exactly a strong suit.
All right, roll it up.
What would you like? Perception?
I let you choose perception or investigation. Depends on how hard you're looking for these traps.
Can I assist him with that so he can get advantage?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we are certainly going to go with perception, as there's a positive modifier to that roll. Alrighty, that's a 15.
How are you checking for traps as you move forward?
Having seen this last one, well, actually having seen most of them up close, he's going to kind of look for the things that he's seen. It seems to be like small seams that are hidden to most people's eyes. So he's going to kind of look for that kind of stuff. Look along the mortar lines, look along the floor. Just take it slow.
You begin moving through, and this short hallway only goes about 10 feet. And the area is completely clear, but it opens up. The hall continues moving onward for quite a ways, but as you step forward, there's a section that it's almost looks like the hallway might have continued to the east, but it's completely rubble filled. And then to the west, it goes for about 10 feet with a door in the westernmost wall. And this door is just one of those heavy wooden doors banded with iron. Otherwise, the hallway continues going north for at least, well, with your dark vision, you can see about 60 feet ahead. And you can just catch from the torchlight the glimmer of the torchlight flickering off from metal bars on slightly ajar, which don't look like prison cells on either side of the hall, about 60 feet down. So, hallway with prison doors to the north, or a wooden door to the left.
We haven't had much luck with these side passages. Maybe we should just move on toward the prison doors.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Oh, prison doors doesn't sound quite so inviting.
It's not exactly like we have a lush pad in front of us. It's pick your lesser evil at this point.
Well, if there's anything still in these cages, then they shouldn't be too much of a fight.
Should they stay behind them?
All right.
Perhaps, Talmud, you could move up ahead of us, beyond the light of the torch, and check it out and see what you can see in the dark.
All right. Meepo, you stay here. You're bad luck. You'll kind of turn and head down the hallway.
As you start heading down the hallway, Meepo just kind of, as you say this about him being bad luck, he kind of looks to the others as he kind of goes, and with his bandaged hands, points at his chest and says, "You hear that? Meepo is bad luck." He obviously doesn't understand what bad luck means.
Bless your heart, you sweet thing.
So you're going to continue down solo. You begin moving forward, and after about 30 feet, you come to the first set of doors, one on each side. And then about every 15 feet, there's another set of doors, and then a third set of doors, one on each side. There appear to be six... there are six prison cells in this area. All the doors are slightly ajar. Go ahead and give me an investigation check.
$15.
You notice as you're moving towards this area that you can see in these first two cells on either side what appears to be some kind of nest, like a rat's nest, pushed into the corners of these cells. You can also see in the dust on the floor some tracks. I would like you to make me... Well, you can tell that there are... Sorry, you can tell with your perception check that some of the tracks are smaller clawed feet made by rats. But some also appear to be made by humanoids. Give me a survival check.
I am going to spend a domain die.
All right, let me see if I can make this work back down the...
Still not fantastic. That's an 8 total.
You guys are at 13. For whatever reason, my number 4 won't work. Okay, you guys are at 13. I'll just keep track of that. We'll leave the 10 up there.
13.
Sorry, so what's your new number?
That's a big ol' 8.
You can see two sets of tracks. Some that were made by rats and some that were made by humanoids. That's all you can tell. What would you like to do? You can tell that the room does appear to open up just beyond the last set of cells.
And the rat's nests were in the first two doors. Was I able to see into the next sets?
If you move forward, yes.
Yeah. Tell me rule.
The two middle doors, as you move forward, you can see into the darkness. There is no rat's nest. But each of the cells contains a giant rat. And as you step forward with your dark vision, you can see their eyes almost these looking almost like glowing orbs looking back at you as they
Are they small enough to fit through the bars just by looking?
the doors are open.
I'm gonna fix that.
So they do appear to be too large to fit through the bars.
Good. So yeah, just with one with his hand and the other one with kind of the head of Goethe, his maul, he'll just kind of push them both closed and kind of shiver with a bad memory.
Sorry. I'm just laughing that for some reason petting zoo was blocked by AutoMod. Apparently petting is too risque of a word for
I was
Twitch.
like, what? Why? What?
Oh, man. So you reach out, and because you were kind of positioned in there, I am going to say, because you're a dwarf, that this hallway is about 10 feet across. So I'm going to let you choose left or right. Which one you want to try to close first.
In my mind, I was moving along the left of the hall, so I'll do the left one.
All right, so on the left side, you reach out and pull the door shut, and it latches. If you're going to try to do the right one, you're going to need to make a dexterity contest. Where in the heck did my... Oh, it's over here.
That'd be a check or a save?
It's just a straight up dex check.
Okay.
Because I'm going to pit you against the giant rat to see if you are fast enough to close it before it gets out.
Okay. It's not bad.
And you're on the goblin side, so I'll use the goblin dice. So... Alright, how did you do?
13.
You slam the door shut on the left as the rat on the other side slams itself against it. You turn, reaching for the other door, and just as you do, a dark shadow leaps from between the wall and the open door and lunges at you. And you all can hear the scuffle. So I'm going to have everybody roll for initiative. But it's going to take everybody else. You're basically 30 feet away. Wait, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Yep, you're 30 feet away from where this is going down. So... as we're going to go into our first combat of the session. And I'm going to roll my initiative. Oh. All right, Griveth, what'd you get?
Oh, sorry. I got an 8.
Cantriel.
A 10.
Vi.
14.
Talmud.
An 11.
And I should probably roll for Meepo. Alright, so the rat's going to go first with its 22. I rolled an at 20 on the initiative. Followed by Fi, Talmud, Cantriel, Griveth, and Meepo will back clean up. I always find it weird when I throw sports terminology into D&D because I don't sports. All right. So this rat lunges at you, Talmud. And it is going to, of course, bite at you. And it actually gets to do so with advantage because you notice from the cell to the front of you, another rat joins the fray. Another one of these giant rats. With pack tactics, that is going to be a total of 14 to hit. That does hit you. So this rat leaps up, biting into your arm, and as it sinks its teeth in, you take 6 points of damage. You feel its massive rat teeth actually sink in almost to the bone of your forearm. As the second rat lunges at you. Oh, with advantage, it's first an 18, then a 19. So it's going to be a 23 to hit from that second rat. Talmud, you just are building up a history with giant rats. And you are going to take another 5 points as your other arm gets bitten by a giant rat. Vi, you can hear the scuffles and hear Talmud crying out.
Not again! Not again!
Yes, and these are officially pack rats. Thanks to JT D&D DM in the chat. That was so good he went to both chats to drop that. So yes, this is a pack rat encounter now. Thank you for that. So yeah, you hear Talmud crying out. Vi, what are you going to do?
Vi is going to quickly rush forward down this hallway. Though I think she would actually leave the light of the torch that Griveth is holding. How dark is it?
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe a torch only illuminates 20 feet of bright light and then another 20 of dim light. So, you're seeing, plus your shadow, which now looms large as you move down this hall, you're going to be attacking or doing whatever you're doing at disadvantage because it's all dancing shadows in the dim light. But you can just kind of make out Talmud's form and two shadows on either side of him.
She sees the shadow sheet. She quickly rushes forward, her staff in hand, and she sees these shadows, and I think at first she doesn't recognize what they are. She just sees these shapes. And so she would try to hit it at disadvantage.
And don't forget there are 13 domain dice remaining.
Wow, that is 2 natural ones.
That's a terrible disadvantage roll.
I don't know which one to choose. No. But I think I'm going to roll with that because I think that as soon as she sees that they are animals, that they're rats, I think that she would kind of freeze. And I think with the nat 1, like something bad is going to happen. I think that in the dark, her fear of these rats that she finally sees, I think she swings wide. And maybe hits Talmud.
Talmud, make a dexterity save. Not well. It wouldn't really be a save. I'm going to call it a saving throw at disadvantage because you have 2 rats on you.
So, could my danger sense kick in, which gives me advantage on dexterity?
Yes, and that will then. Good call. That will then level it out to a single die roll.
That is a 12.
And just as a counter to that, Vi, make a attack roll.
Okay. That's a 20. I'm sorry.
Vi, roll damage.
So, Talmud, you just feel this just thwack against you for 5 points of bludgeoning damage.
Oh, please tell me you didn't get knocked out from Vi.
Ow! Whose side are you on?
I'm sorry. There's rats.
Oh, you noticed. Maybe you should hit them with your stick instead. Oh God, it hurt.
And it's your turn, Talmud.
He turns around and attacks. No, I'm just kidding.
He hits Vi with the rats.
No, he is in rough shape. He's gonna kind of fall back against the wall a little, bring Gerta kind of around, and kind of try to pick which one of these things he wants to try to hit first. He's just gonna pick the one that bit him first.
All right,
and
the one on the
he's gonna
right.
raise it up. Yep. And bring Gerta down. Hopefully, I'm going to spend a domain dice.
All right, that puts us at 12.
Oh, God. Okay. So we're going to go with the first one. And that's a 12 total.
That is enough to hit.
Good. Thank the stars. Okay.
And Gerta is a maul, correct?
Yes. Yes, she is. That is 10 points of bludgeoning damage.
As you kind of waver for a moment, maybe for just a moment, you see 4 rats after getting clobbered in the head by Vi, and your vision settles and you lock in on the one on your right. You swing Gerta around, and there's just a sickening thud and the cracking of the skull as you dispatch the first rat.
And as it dies and the blood kind of spatters, it's in black and white because it's in his dark vision, but he sees part of it as red. As the edges of his vision kind of start to red and kind of close in, and he kind of bites his lip. No, no, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to do it. I promised myself I wouldn't. That's it.
All right, so then that's going to be Cantriel next.
All right, now I have dark vision for 60 feet, so I can pretty much see everything happening too, right? From where I'm standing?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to cast Fairy Fire to make it easier for the human companions to see who's left. And that's basically 20-foot cube within range, so I have up to 60 feet range with this. Outlined in either a blue, green, or violet light of your choice. We'll go with violet. Any creature in the area when the spell is cast is also outlined in the light. If it fails, a dex save of 13.
Let's see how it
And they will
does.
also shed a dim light in a 10-foot radius.
It has a 21 on its dex save. So I believe that means your fairy fire just fails to lock onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just this. So I picture it almost like this emanating out from you, just this kind of pulse of boom, this violet light, and it seems to kind of dance over everything, almost like a sonar pulse. And for a split second, it just kind of arcs across Talmud, Vi, and the rat, but then it continues on into the darkness and fizzles away as it fails to go. Is that an action or a bonus action to cast?
That's my action, but can I use my bonus action of Misty Step to get closer in?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll Misty Step in so that I can be...
Chameleon Fam is crying out in the chat that, as a reminder, that you do have those divine reroll, or excuse me, the domain dice that you can.
Can I make you reroll?
That you can force me to reroll with those.
Reroll! Reroll!
I just glanced over and saw that. I figure as our patron saint of domain dice, Chameleon Fam, I should draw attention to that.
Absolutely.
So
You
the
reroll.
reroll
Bad juju
is now
roll.
a 13. So I think it still beats your...
Yes, it just makes it.
All right, so that takes us down to 11 domain dice. So yeah, it just kind of lingers for a split second and then fades away, but you are going to Misty Step right into the fray. You muted out.
Just so I can get a little bit closer, so I'm like maybe 10 feet away from the actual fray itself.
Okay. Yeah, so you just kind of just like step.
Basically, like, it's sort of like, you know, things start to blur around me and I just pop out of sight and then I pop into where I want to go.
Awesome. Yeah, that was me stumbling because I didn't want to take narration away from you to narrate your own magical effects. Yeah, that's awesome. It is now Griveth's turn. Things are getting heated down the hall, about 30 feet away. You can't really see what's going on, but everybody but you and Meepo are now down there.
Okay, so here's what happened. Okay, so you know I've been keeping an eye on Meepo, right? So I was kind of looking to see what I could squint and see with Talmud, although he was kind of pretty much at the limit of the range, and I was kind of looking back at Meepo, and then at that moment, like that's when everything hit the fan, and the whole party sees this, and they all go running. And it's like that situation where suddenly I realize like everyone's left, like everyone's ran down the hall. So I'm like, oh, you know, so I look quickly at Meepo and I say, Meepo, follow me. And so, you know, as a soldier, you know, fighting at night, I'd gotten used to actually, you know, having my weapon, having my shield, and having a torch. And the torch is kind of, you know, I've got hold of the shield, but I've got the torch kind of coming up over the, behind the shield there. And so that's how I'm holding it. So when I realized what's going on, and I'm kind of embarrassed, and I'm supposed to be protecting my friends, and here I am down here watching this little creature, I suddenly just burst into a sprint, and you guys hear the because like my chainmail is like jingling, you know, it's on my form, it's like so you guys see that. You also see the huge, you know, I'm huge. You see this huge man running down the hall, you know, with his shield in hand. He's got his mace in the other. He's got his morning star in the other hand. And how I said the torch is kind of coming up beyond the shield, like embers are falling down, raining down, like in splashing over the torch and like kind of spraying out. So you see this, like this figure, this dark figure come running down the hall with, you know, the embers kind of spraying off his shield, you know, as he's catching air on it. And can I actually make it to the rat? Is there enough room, or can I actually make it there?
You can make it there. It's a little bit crowded. As you're running there, I do real quick. I need Vi and Talmud to make dexterity saves.
Is this against something that I can see? So my danger sense.
You're actually saving against the fairy fire effect, as it was pointed out, that it's all creatures in the 20-foot cube are affected by it.
Yeah, I got an 11.
I got a 12.
So both of you are. So you would see Vi and Talmud are actually glowing, outlined in this, and it provides you with enough illumination as you get closer, plus your torch, as this hulking tank is raining fire as he lumbers down the hall. Griveth, you can see the one rat that remains.
All right, so I try to squeeze through as much as I can. It's more like pushing them aside than squeezing through, but I kind of go side. I kind of bring the shield up like this and then go sideways so I can kind of squeeze through and fit through, and then bring this morning star down to finish this nasty creature. So I got 14.
That is a hit.
All right. Let's lay some holy smack on it. Ooh, 10 points of damage.
All right, Griveth, how do you end this fight?
All right, so as I squeeze through, the mace comes down, or I'm sorry, not the mace. The Morning Star comes down, and just pulverizes this thing into the floor, and it just lets out this horrible shriek, and it's just destroyed. It's just a pile of gore. You know, there's nothing left.
And as you slam your mace down on this thing's head, or Morningstar, which is it?
Morningstar.
Morningstar. And there's that where it sticks into the cement, into the stone below. You hear this kind of pattering feet come running up behind, and you guys hear this cry from Meepo. As he leaps through the air with a dagger drawn and plunges it into the dead rat that Talmud killed. And he stabs it again and again, and then he stands up from it. He looks up at Talmud, and he points his now bloody dagger at his chest, and he goes, Meepo, he's bad luck.
You are absolutely right, Meepo. You are the worst luck.
And you are out of combat. You have 2 dead rats, 6 empty cells, and an unexplored end of the hall. And an overzealous kobold at your side. What would you like to do?
Perhaps we shouldn't separate again.
Just real quick, you guys are at 11 domain dice. If you remember, the graphic didn't quite line up right at the beginning when we had additional dice that were dropped from JTD and DDM. And with the graphics not lining up, I've been tracking on paper. So you guys are at 11 dice.
So I noticed that Talmud is pretty, like, he's bleeding from several wounds. He's pretty hurt. So does someone want to help him?
I mean, I could take him, or you could take him, whichever. I'm totally fine, whichever.
I just think Vi feels so bad for locking him in the face.
Makes sense to her.
With her staff.
Make sure to bring flowers.
And she gives him a hug.
Right?
Oh, I think she'd have to do a little more damage than that to give him a hug. But she would kind of rush up to Talmud. Just, you seem hurt. Let me help you.
Yeah, I am, and I'm also glowing purple for some reason.
It's a lovely color on you.
Well, thank you.
It's perfectly harmless, don't worry.
Maybe it'll wash off.
It fades after a bit.
Well, I won't lose you in the dark.
That's true. You were saying, Vi, I think there was something you were trying to say to me.
Here, I think I have something in my bag that can help you.
Oh. Yes.
And she would begin to take out these different vials again, like you've seen many times before, and she just kind of puts them on her hand, and she begins to work them together until I know she is glowing too, but her hands begin to glow an even brighter shade. And without, like, just barely touching you, she runs her hands over, like, where you're hurt, and you immediately feel the warmth flowing through, and she would heal you 7 points with and she's like muttering something in a different language as well. It almost is akin to the sounds of nature, these streams running, forests, winds. It's just this odd language that she's uttering, less of a language, just more of these sounds. But yeah, you begin to feel the effects.
As the wounds kind of knit, he kind of looks down. Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Sincerely.
Well, we can't have you die. I would leave Meepo to check the traps.
It's just a warm and fuzzy feeling all over. I appreciate it. I'm very loved.
So Griveth, you know, he does have the power to heal, but he's been reluctant. He's like almost afraid. Like this power is new to him, and he's not sure how he can control it and how it will work yet. Actually, so he knows that he can do it. He knows he has the divine gift and the power to do it, but he's been reluctant. So it's like I feel that like he wants to wait until there's the point where things are so dangerous and deadly, and it's like no choice that he's going to actually use his lay hands.
As you guys are doing this, Meepo has kind of ducked into that area off to the right, the first cell that that you passed excuse me, that you passed by, and he comes out with he kind of, you can hear him kind of rummaging around in the nest, and he comes back with 6 silver pieces, 5 gold pieces, and 2 shiny blue gems, each worth 5 gold pieces. So if somebody wants to write that down, Meepo comes out and he kind of has all this in his hands, and he holds it out to, I think he would actually hold it out to you, Talmud. Meepo, bad luck.
What have you got there, wee one?
The rats, they like to take the shinies. They hide them in their nests.
Well, isn't that good to know? Look at you, Meepo. You know, maybe your luck is turning around.
And I will point out that there is the one cage on the left in the middle does have a live giant rat in it still. But that cage is locked now.
So Griveth, is sort of warming up to Meepo a little bit. He was very suspicious. He didn't want to get in the middle of this war, but now, he's helping us out, and he hasn't betrayed us and this kind of thing. So Griveth is like, so Meepo, are you good at spotting things that are hidden? Like, you found these? Are you good at spotting things that are hidden and dangerous, like traps? He could be our party rogue.
Meepo says, Meepo just know that rats like to hide the shiny things, so I figured I would look at in the thing. And then he kind of looks at his hand with the bandage on it, and he kind of holds it for a second, and he goes, Meepo did find that trap. Maybe Meepo is expert trap finder.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go find more traps?
You did, Meepo, but just be careful, all right? Just be careful.
Meepo, for your services thus far, I want you to have a gift. He's gonna hand him 2 of the silver pieces back that he had just brought to them. These are for you.
He takes them from you, and he just looks at them and looks up at you. A gift? For Meeple?
Aye, for Meeple.
These are the best things Meeple has ever received. I will put them in a very special place. And he tucks them into his pouch on his belt. Meeple will keep these forever.
If you keep doing well, there may be more.
He just gasps. All right. What would you like to do? You still, definitely you with the torchlight, and by now I imagine the fairy fire has kind of faded away from Vi and Talmud. But you can see that the room just beyond the cells actually opens up, and it is about 30 foot by 30 foot square room, and you can actually see my map for some reason doesn't have the numbers on it. You see you actually looking in here, Meeple kind of moves forward in front of the rest of you. He doesn't quite go into the room, but he goes, Meeple, find the trap! Right here! And he steps aside, and you can see right in the middle of the floor, leading into this larger room, there is a trap door being held open by iron spikes.
Well, you certainly found something there, Meatbo.
Beyond that, you can see that there is on the north wall another fountain with a carving of a dragon, just like the one you saw previously. And just to the left of it is a door in the wall, and there is another trap door propped open by an iron spike.
Do the tracks that Talmud found look human or like goblin size?
Now that you're up there, give me a survival check.
Sorry about that, my sheet. All right. Ooh, 24.
So, obviously, any tracks that were immediately in the hall by the cells have been greatly disturbed by your scuffle with the rats. But just beyond that, you can see that there are fresh rat tracks all throughout this area. And there are humanoid footprints leading away and toward the door to the northwest on the west wall, where that other trap door is propped open. And you can discern with that check that there were 4 humanoids that traveled toward that door. These footprints appear to be at least 1 or 2 months old. But the set of footprints that leads away from the door and back the way you came, there are only 3 humanoid footprints. Or rather, sets of footprints.
Humanoid, you mean human size?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, because you rolled like a 20-something on your check, right?
24, yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that they're basically like human sized.
Forward, friends.
Yeah, Talmud would actually like to look at the in the pit traps to see if there was anything in them like the one outside.
All right. No investigation needed. As you look inside the pits, they are both 20 feet deep pits. And all that you can see are rusted bits of metal, rat bones, and filth.
And you said there was a fountain, northern wall, right?
That is correct.
Right. Cantriel's going to walk up carefully and see if she can see if there's any more of those runes, because after 2 times that there being something now, she's kind of getting into the habit of just looking.
So you're walking up to this fountain. Obviously, you can see the trap and work your way around it. You move toward the trapped fountain. Sorry. The fountain, not the traps. You saw the traps.
Is that Freudian?
You see that there is, because you're looking for it, there is a worn away inscription. I'm going to need a perception check or an investigation check to see if you can discern from what is left of these runes what it says.
How's a 21?
Excellent. As you move toward it, you do see that there is a another dragon carving, very similar, almost identical to the previous one, that is kind of leering over this fountain. And you see 2 things. As you approach, you notice that there are, protruding from just barely out of the mouth of the dragon, are a couple of metallic tubes. And you are able to make out the phrase on the front of this fountain that says, "Let there be death," in Draconic.
Well, this just keeps getting brighter and brighter in its storytelling. And I can understand what it says. And it's another fountain. But it's a fountain that could bring death, possibly. And I'm not saying what it says exactly.
What purpose do these things have? Who would have built these strange things? What
Listen.
purpose does this place serve?
Well, at one point it served those who worship dragons, obviously.
There's a term called a sadist. I'm pretty sure that whoever built this place fell squarely in that place.
I would agree with Talmud, yes.
Though, the last time you said we got something from these fountains, something useful. Perhaps it would be the same with this one?
What could it bring that's related to death that would be a positive thing?
It would come out of tubes.
Poison, probably. Could be useful.
I suppose.
Well, we could always move further back a wee bit and I'll project my voice.
Talmud's already moving back.
So is Cantriel. She's like very hesitant now.
What purpose would they have for a fountain full of poison? Very strange.
I can think of 5 reasons off the top of my head.
I'm not the only one then, that's good. So I'm like as I'm walking away, I'm hoping the others are walking back as well.
How far back are you moving? This is as I said, it's a 30-foot by 30-foot chamber, and the fountain extends about 10 feet into the room.
So we'll say a good 20 feet back.
Okay.
All right, so let there be death.
As you say this phrase aloud, there is that kind of sound coming from those pipes and kind of a ting 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 ting, and then you hear and a sickly green cloud goes from those pipes and spreads out from the mouth into the room, and I need everybody to make a Constitution saving throw. So
20.
20?
Yep.
Griveth?
13.
Vi?
5.
Talmud?
This would be poison, right?
Reroll.
Yep.
Reroll by.
Yes, which I believe you have a natural resistance to.
I do, yes. I got an 18.
Vi? You have 11 domain dice at your disposal if you wish to use
Use
one.
the dice.
I
Okay.
will. And I got a 20.
Somebody Talmud. Actually, Griveth, you've kind of warmed up to Meepo. Why don't you roll his Constitution saving throw for me?
All right. Oh, a natural 20.
All right. So, Vi, what was your second roll again?
20.
Okay. Everybody manages to just kind of take one extra step into the hallway where the prison doors were, as you catch the scent, this acrid scent of poison, and it doesn't really affect you, and you can kind of hear that sputtering sound as it sounds like whatever poison was in this dragon's mouth in these pipes, it just expended that final burst as you said those words. And you have all avoided being poisoned by the poison mist.
Well, it was poison, just not in liquid form.
The poison cloud kind of stirred up the air, stirred up the dust, and you now can smell this. There's always been this underlying scent of decay. But you now can smell a very clear scent of death. It has that vile scent of rotting flesh, of something decaying nearby.
Anyone else noticing a change in the aroma of this area?
Now that you say it, there's a pungent.
Not you.
No, I took a bath last month. Thank you.
Oh, how lucky are we?
There's something else.
Reminds me of battlefield smells.
Like a rotting corpse.
One forgotten behind a tree stump or something of the like.
Meepo has walked back into the room, and he's kind of looking around, and the smell is coming from there. And he points to the door in the western wall.
This one is a stone relief as well?
No. This is a wooden door banded with iron.
All right, it looks like this is where our paths have taken us.
No.
We should
I say
maybe
we check the door.
door?
I say we check the door first.
This is also the door. This is also the
We finally
door
learned.
that you saw 4 humanoid footprints walking toward, but only 3 walking away.
Well, we might figure out why we have a 4 and 3 situation, provided we can get the door open.
Well, we are also looking for the people that belong to those 3 footprints, are we not?
This is true.
Aye, that we are.
We might get more answers behind a closed door than standing here hoping we can get a breath of fresh air.
Agreed.
All right.
All right, we're gonna look for traps.
Yep.
All right. Go ahead. Whoever's checking for traps, make the investigation roll.
Can I have? Oh wait, it's investigation. Who's good at investigation? Anybody? Go ahead, V. I'll help her look. Does she get advantage?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, that's going to be a 17.
It appears that the only trap that was in this area was the pit trap that whoever came through here before has already found and propped open in front of the door. It appears that this door is safe.
Well, it's ollie oxen free.
The scent is incredibly strong as you're standing by this door.
I'm going to put my hand up in front of my nose and sort of use my sleeve to muffle the or just to snuff out the fragrance a little bit. It's safe to open, physically at least, but just beware, it's getting stronger.
I guess I feel the danger behind the door is there's no need for a trap. I shall lead the way.
I take a few steps back to kind of give him room.
Okay, so I open the door.
All right. You open the door, and this scent of death that was so strongly in this room is magnified as it just slams into your face, this overwhelming stench of death. But opening the door, it is clear from where this stench emanates. As you see, there are a few humanoid-looking creatures. You can kind of see a couple of goblins and what looks to be a human male lying face down, half of his midsection chewed away by giant rats. 3 giant rats that currently are chewing on these carcasses. But they are not the biggest thing in this room, as there is a much larger, bloated-looking, diseased-ridden rat, clearly a female, who has either recently given birth or looks like she may give birth, as she is swollen with milk, pus dripping from sores all along this rat. And they immediately turn towards you as you open the door. And everybody's going to roll initiative.
I'm thirsty.
I'm queasy.
Got
All
a
right.
16.
Hold on.
I also got a 16. Oh, don't start this.
11.
Wait. Okay, Griveth,
11.
Cantriel,
16.
Vi, was 16
16.
also. Talmud.
Got an 18.
Somebody roll for Meepo. Add 2.
Did you roll? Neepo got a 15.
All right, and I'm going to roll for. Let's see here. got not a giant bat, not a giant cat, but a giant rat. Alright, that's +2, so
What did Meepo get?
that, and Mama Rat has a... So, here's the batting order. Damn, more sports. Here's the attack order. Jeez. Mama Rat's going first. Followed by Talmud. Both Cantriel and Vi will go third. Followed by Meepo. Then Griveth. And last will be the remaining rats. Yeah. It is your... Oh, no, sorry, it's me. I was going to say it's your turn. No, it's me. As this rat, this swollen female diseased rat, is already what seemed to have kind of been on her haunches waiting for somebody to come in. And Griveth comes charging in, and she immediately lunges, with pack tactics gaining advantage on the roll. So that's going to be a 19 to hit. Does that beat your shield?
Yes, it does. I'm going to make you re-roll that.
Excellent. Now we are now the graphic is accurate. That becomes a 5, or rather a 10 total, as the rat lunges at you, but it's slipping in the muck and detritus of this just nasty room. And she fails to hit you. Talmud, you're up.
Talmud, revolted into action, is going to grab Goethe and move forward to the closest of these rats that he can get to. I don't know if he can get all the way to the mother.
Well, this room, as I guess I should have told you, the room is about 20 feet wide and about 25 feet across, so you can probably get to just about anything you want to in this room.
Okay. In that case, Talmud will kind of take a wide berth, go around this kind of mess in the middle, and try to see if he can't get around behind to where the mother is.
All right. So, yeah, you can maneuver your way through there.
Okay. Bring down Goethe. I'm going to use another domain dice.
All right. You are now at 9.
Golly. Still not going to be worth much. It's a 13 total on the mother.
That's going to hit.
Oh, sweet. To the tune of 8 points of bludgeoning damage.
Ooh. You break open several sores on this rat, and you break its ribs as you slam into it. Vile and bile spew from her mouth as she hisses at you. She's not dead.
Yeah, Talmud kind of pitches a couple of times.
That's Vi and Cantriel that are
And-
up next.
The rats are coming out, right, towards us?
Oh yeah, they're fully aware of you.
All right, I'm going to cast Dissonant Whispers on the one that's heading in my direction then. And I'm going to take a look at it, and I'm just going to start kind of singing almost nervously to myself. All around the good berry bush, the only chase that can't coo. He caught you looking in on his fun, now he's after you. And it's this kind of like green light that shoots from my hands when I point to him. And he has to do a save against that one.
So is that a regular rat or the mama rat? By regular rat, I mean a regular giant rat.
Probably one of the regular giant rats.
Okay. So what kind of a save is it?
That is what I am trying to figure. I think it's a dex save, 13.
It's a 14 on the die, so a 16 total. As it appears to be unaffected.
Oh, I want to make you reroll so badly right now.
You got 9 domain dice.
Reroll.
That's what Chameleon Fam gets them for you for. All right, so a reroll. That's now a 15 on the die, so that's a 17 to save. I need to get a dice camera set up.
Yeah, this has been fun. All right.
It appears that singing to the rats was not necessarily the best strategy. But what are you doing, Vi, as Cantriel is attempting to lull them into a false sense of security?
Vi is just gripping her staff. She begins just kind of dry heaving, and her eyes are just wide with fear, and she begins to slam her staff against the ground. She looks, crap. She does it again, and she just pauses, just takes a really deep breath. She slams it again, and immediately this green light kind of erupts from where she had slammed the staff down, and almost like these green veins begin traveling underneath the floor towards these rats. And these brambles begin to come out through cracks and through these different openings wherever they can find in the floor, and they just begin wrapping around and over top of these rats. One of them, she's gonna try and get as many in this 20-foot square as she can, but one of them has to make a strength saving throw.
Mama rat or regular rats?
We'll do regular rats since they seem the most...
So only one of them has to make the strength save?
Yes.
All right. You can absolutely get all 4 of these giant rats in this space.
So, yeah, it says a creature in the area, so I assume it's only one, but for the rest of them, it will be difficult terrain.
So that is a 7 on the die, so a total of 5 on that strength saving throw.
Perfect. So, these roots begin to form, and they begin to curl, and they begin to harden, except around this one rat. These bunch of these vines come from either side and just go over top of this rat and bring it down. And as they harden, this rat is unable to move.
Excellent. And I'm going to give you a point of inspiration for that dramatic and incredible spell description. And I'm actually going to give Cantriel a point of inspiration for the amazing reiteration of the or reimagining of the song.
Can I also give inspiration? I forgot to do that part.
Oh,
As a bonus.
Yeah, I'll allow it.
All right, I'm gonna give inspiration to Griveth. I'm just gonna shoot him a look, and you can do it. I know you can do it.
So what is that? A D6?
I think it's a D6. Yeah.
All right. It is actually Meepo's turn, and since you all count as allies, Meepo gets advantage because you are now part of his pack. as Meepo, anybody that's closest, and it would probably be Vi, I imagine is the closest, you hear and you catch movement out of the corner of your eye as you see Meepo swinging faster and faster a sling over his head. And he releases it quickly. And somebody, Griveth, make an attack roll for Meepo.
+17.
+4 is a 21, so roll 1d4 and add 2 to that.
Oh, kill it.
As he is aiming at the mama rat.
1d4 plus what?
2.
Okay. 3 total.
This rat gets pelted right in the between the eyes with this rock. Thunk, and Meepo just mutters, "Bad luck," as he makes a successful attack. And you hear this, Griveth, as it is now your turn, with all 4 rats still standing.
Okay, so Griveth, sees the direness of the situation, and this stench just hits his face. But he's smelled, the stench of death before, so it's not slowing him down. But his eyes are watering. It's so horrible from this giant pustule rat, and so he feels that now is the time. He will accept the blessings of Eldath, and so he sets his mind on his goddess, and he wishes that he could aid his friends in this time of their direst need, and his soul shoots skyward, pleading with his goddess to aid them in their time of direst need. And this light shoots down into the crown of Griveth's head, and he kind of flings back for a moment with the power that he's not used to being filled with this power. But then the light, the nimbuses of light kind of shoot off in all directions, almost like a laser beam, going into hitting each of my friends and giving them the blessing of the goddess. And you all feel this. You all feel the power flowing into you. Actually, reality is changing for you. You each have luck. So the goddess is granting you luck that you can use either in an attack or in a saving throw. And so then Griveth stands ready to attack for the next chance he gets and defend his friends.
That was awesome. As DM Scotty, clearly that was the scene in which he was vying for the Academy Award inspiration die that I will now hand to you. The music seemed to just be cueing along with, as you were getting more dramatic, so was the music. That was perfect. All right. It is now the 3 regular rats' turns. So the one rat is grappled, correct? What does it need to break free?
It needs to make another strength check against DC 13.
That is a 12. It does not. You see it struggling, ripping fur and flesh against these hardened vines. But the other 2 rats, one of them begins scurrying towards Cantriel, who had been hurling some kind of song and words at it. And it skitters across the bloated, wounded carcass of the mother rat as it leaps toward Cantriel, getting its pack tactics. That is going to be a 23 to hit, a 19 on the die. As
That's a hit.
it leaps through the air and bites into you. You take
Hold on a sec. I want to do a. I want to deflect it with my shield.
Oh, gonna enact your protection.
Yeah, so re-roll.
How does that? Is that just it forces disadvantage? Because I had advantage, so doing that would remove the advantage and now make that a 15 instead of a 23. Because I had an 11 on that.
It's still gonna hit.
So, as Griveth moves in to block, you get your shield up, but not quite enough. You're slipping in the just rotten detritus on the floor, and the rat actually uses the shield to like a ramp to skitter across and leap off into Cantriel. It slams into you, sinking its teeth in Cantriel for 6 points of piercing damage. And the third rat is going to scurry towards Talmud. Where the hell? There we go. And that one is going to... Jeez. That is going to be an 18 to hit Talmud. As another rat bites into your thigh for 5 points of piercing damage, Talmud. The mama rat. I believe had attacked Griveth last time. So it was engaged with Griveth. She looks in pretty bad shape. But it's not going to stop her from trying to bite you. That is a 13 with advantage for 17 to hit. As she slams into your shield, Griveth, you hear the clang of her teeth as they clang in and then scrape along the metal, as almost as if she's deliberately... as she fails to land her attack. Talmud, you're up. All 4 rats are still up.
Talmud, kind of reacting to this horrid noise to go along with this horrid sight and this horrid smell, is just kind of, he's had enough. He's gonna, okay, just stop it. And he's gonna step forward and kind of hastily swing Gerta. I'm going to reckless attack, which should give me advantage.
You're attacking at which one again?
The mother.
All right. So reckless attack.
Not the mama. Okay. Oh, that's double 17s. So that is a total of 22 to hit.
That's absolutely going to hit. And did you just quote dinosaurs?
Yeah. Why would I not? I'm the baby. Gotta love me.
That was a super deep cut.
No. That's going to be 12 more points of bludgeoning.
How does Talmud and Gerta end the life of the bloated mama rat?
Again, he's just his senses are on edge and running. His patience is running thin. He wants this thing just dealt with, so he steps forward and he actually just slams Gerta into Griveth's waiting shield, catching this mother rat between. And I don't imagine it's a pretty or a clean area at all.
No, there's... From your side of the shield, Griveth, you just see on all sides of the shield a spray of blood and gore. As you feel the impact of this drive into you, and I imagine it, even your massive form, it causes you to slide back about 6 inches. And on the other side, you feel the weight of the maul and the weight of the mother slip to the ground and pull away from your shield. But there are still 3 rats running around in this room. One engaged with Cantriel. They're just kind of scurrying everywhere. One's trapped. Vi and Cantriel.
Well, at this point, I'm assuming rats on top of me, all of, rodents of unusual size, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to take my 2 daggers and stabby if I can.
All right.
All right, so... and then what's your inspiration die?
You mean the inspiration die I gave you?
Yeah.
That just allows you to...
No, what kind? Is it a 6 or an 8? D8.
When I grant inspiration, it allows you to give yourself advantage on a roll.
Oh, so I can... Okay.
Don't forget you can use Bless too, which is a D4, and add it to your total if you want to do that.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Well, I'll take this one because I got a 19 with using the inspiration. So the first one is... Ooh! I got a 4 on that one. So then that's going to be 6 points of... No. Yeah, 6 points of damage with the first dagger.
That will... You just drive your dagger in, and it just keeps going up to the wrist. You sink your your whole hand in the dagger inside this rat. As you pull it out, the rat slumps dead.
Oh. All right.
So you could continue with that second dagger attack. Use your movement in between to get to one of the other 2 remaining rats.
Don't I have to get the rat off of me?
Well, you just killed it.
Oh, I'm picturing like it's on top of me and I'd have to use my action to get it off, but no.
No. I wouldn't even make you use an action for that.
Okay.
Anyway.
I've had DMs who have, so.
As you stab into it, you killed this thing, so it just kind of falls off of you. And
she's just muttering under her breath because she's like covered in blood now and the filth and the slime, and she's. So where's the next rat?
So you've got one that's probably about 10 feet away from you. The other one is currently trapped by Vi's entanglement. So you'd have advantage against that one.
I'll try for that one then. Okay, so then that's going to be a math at this time of night is fun. That's gonna be a 17.
That's a hit.
Yay! All right. Now, where'd you go? Come on, we need to see what I used before. Ooh, 5 points of damage. Oh wait, no, I don't add because it's my offhand, so I don't add to it. Right?
Correct.
So then it's 3.
So this one you don't kill, but you basically it's just sitting there and you stick it. Vi, what are you gonna do?
Vi, still shaking, takes hesitant steps forward, and like with the rats on the steps, she kind of holds her staff right at the end, so she has as much room between her and the rat, and she's going to approach one and just attempt to hit it.
So which one?
Just the one that would be closest to her.
So the one not entangled, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go for it.
It's a 14 to hit.
That's a hit.
And you see this immediate green energy just flow from her hand down her staff into the hit, and that's going to be 6 points of damage.
Your staff cracks down on this thing, and there's no sound beyond the thud of your staff cracking into its head, and it just instantly stops moving.
She just lets out this breath. Her shoulders just kind of slump ever so slightly.
To your side, you hear another small war cry as Meeple lunges over to the one that's entangled and leaps through the air with his dagger in hand and critically hits this last remaining. With his pack tactics, it got a 20 on the second one. So you see Meepo just leap through the air. Ah! And he's holding this dagger, and it just pierces into the skull of this entangled rat. And then you just see these arcs of blood every time he brings his dagger up and down again. Up and down, up and down. And he just keeps doing it for about 6 or 7 times.
He's dead, sweetie.
Yes. Meepo, bad luck.
Meepo's the best bad luck ever.
You are the baddest luck, Meepo.
Wow, that music could not have been timed any better.
Right?
I did not
was
plan it
eerily
that
perfect.
way. That was dead on. As you guys are out of combat. There are now 3 dead giant rats, a dead bloated mother rat, 2 dead goblins, a dead kobold, and 1 human male who is wearing the remnants of some leather armor, lying face down.
Well, I believe we have a corpse that needs some inspecting, perhaps, and see if it might be one of our unfortunate few that we need to find.
Do the Hukrilis have like a crest? Do they
Yeah,
have
she
sig-
said look for a ring.
Okay.
Yeah,
thought
she
this was-
specifically said if you couldn't find them, that she would still pay you to bring back their signet rings.
Okay. So Talmud will go over to this human corpse and use the toe of his boot to kind of move their hand around to inspect for rings on the fingers.
As you shift the hand, which is kind of curled up and tucked out of the way, as you move it, you see that there is a ring on its finger.
Cantriel's gonna walk up when she sees the flash of the ring and just sort of kneel down, and even though it's a dead body, she'll put her hand on its shoulder and sort of give a slight bit of respect and slowly work the ring off as evidence of one at least. Unfortunately, it seems we have one down and found.
You are able to work the ring off. And it's a simple gold ring. Looks to be worth about 10 gold pieces. And you find engraved inside the ring, in common, what appears to be his name. Caracas. This is not one of the Hukrili children that you are looking for, but clearly one of the adventurers of their party. All around this body, you can see that it is wearing that the body you now know to be Caracas is wearing studded leather armor. It appears that his belongings were kind of thrown into disarray as the rats were devouring his corpse. As there are a number of items lying around. Sorry, I was just double checking because I had a notification. It looks like, Chameleon Fam, loves Meepo so much that has thrown another 4 domain dice into the pool, putting you guys up to 13 again. So that's going to put us, let's see if I can figure this out, how I did this last time. So it's actually 13, but that'll work. Very clearly, Chameleon, they need them. Chameleon has said that he specifically provides them for Talmud, who seems to need them the most. So anyway, in addition to the 4 domain dice that you find lying around the body, you also find 5 daggers, There is a long bow and a quiver that has 6 arrows remaining in it. There is a backpack that has a water skin, a day's worth of rations, a bedroll, a tinderbox, and 3 torches remaining. There is a pouch with 17 gold pieces. And also tied to the waist, you find a glass bottle with a shimmery red liquid in it that you know to be a potion of healing. So that's just what you find around and on Caracas. You can also inspect the other corpses if you wish, the goblin and the...
Can I take the longbow and quiver? If everyone's good with that.
All right, so Cantriel, you have a longbow and 6 additional arrows.
We also have 3 +1 arrows that we found on the
Oh, that's right.
skeletal archers that I have been carrying, but you are more than welcome to.
Okay. What were they again? The +1?
Yeah, they're
Three.
+1 arrows.
You have 3 magical +1 arrows.
Okay.
Everybody that is gonna inspect the area, just everybody give me investigation checks.
While the group is doing that, Griveth does a little blessing, a little prayer for the dead, and pulls out a little shrine to Eldath, which is like a silvery waterfall with a pool. When they see it, it almost seems to move, like the water almost seems to trickle down or flow down the silver little shrine there. And as he sits there, and Cantriel notices this particularly as he's praying, because she kind of was showing respect for the dead and looking at the ring and that kind of thing. As he's sitting there kneeling next to her, she looks at him and she sees she notices there's some kind of change that's come over Griveth. Like she sees like a spark in his eyes that wasn't there before. Like the power that came into him, it's like he hadn't wholly accepted that until just this time in this battle, and the holy light has come into him, and like there's kind of a spark in his eye that she notices, and she notices like he seems different. Like there was Griveth before the blessing, and then there was Griveth after, and she can't necessarily say what is the difference, but she does notice that she knows people, and she notices that imperceptible difference that may be hard to put into words, but she notices it.
Excellent. So, Talmud, is that your investigation roll in the chat there? What about, is anybody else looking? Cantriel, Vi?
I saw nothing because I was watching Griveth.
Vi, what about you?
I don't think Vi would go anywhere near the rats. She is just standing back, just holding on to her quarterstaff, just kind of just looking at the room in general.
So, Talmud, you're kind of poking around these bodies, and there's the remnants of tattered rags and bones that it appears the rats had been feasting for some time on any adventurers that had come down into this area. You find an additional 312 silver pieces, 68 gold pieces, and you find 3 gemstones that each, with your discerning eye, appear to be worth 25 gold pieces. The rest is rusted weaponry and rotted leather, or just rat chewed. Meepo looks around. He appears to have been looking around the edges of the room. And he just says, we can go no further. We will have to go back to one of those other doors. Either the last one, or the cold one. We must keep exploring this dungeon, looking for our dragon.
Cantriel's just gonna sigh, sort of like not defeated, but frustrated, but also going to pick up the. You said there was a pouch of 16 gold.
There was the 17 gold pieces that the
I'm gonna
adventurer
pick
had.
that up in the healing potion as well, and I'm turning to the others and said, "One for us, the pouch for the family."
Okay.
The pouch for the family.
Oh, fine. Fine.
There are daggers, and if you want to get those and pawn those off somewhere, though,
I know the daggers for the family.
you can't feed a family with daggers,
But you
nor
can
pay for a
use them.
funeral.
Well, fine.
We should go. I don't like it here.
And I tend to agree with Meepo.
Meepo begins moving towards the door. Would you... So, really, your only recourse at this point is you can go back to the... one of the two doors. There was the first door in the room with the fountain that was really cold and almost killed Meepo. Or there's the next door you passed, which is closer to you, just before the cell room, which was a wooden door that was banded in iron that you basically said... Griveth said, we don't have much luck going down these side passages, so you bypassed it.
Would anyone want to take a wee bit of a rest before we go back to certain doom and gloom?
Preferably not in this room.
Well, perhaps just a little bit out of that room.
Yes, please.
You actually could. You would remember that the room that has that door that goes to the west, there was a bunch of debris and stuff, but it was a pretty good sized room with a clear view to both directions of anything that might approach. Plus that door, if you wanted to take a rest there. And that is also a good place to end tonight. And as you guys are resting, I would like you each to go ahead and roll your hit die and add your con modifier, because guess what? You're leveling up to 3.
Ooh.
So we'll go ahead and have you guys roll your additional hit point increase right now. So whatever your hit die is, and add your con modifier, and tell us all what you get to add to your... And that number will go to both your current and your max right now. So how'd you do there, Griveth?
I got an 8 total.
All right. So, yeah, add that to your max and your current. And then Cantriel?
I got 6.
Nice. Vi, how'd you do?
I also got 6.
Excellent. And Talmud? How'd that big old D12 treat you?
Poorly. May I use a domain dice?
I think we had established that, yes, you can use domain dice.
I would like to do that.
So that actually knocks you down. Technically, you guys are at 13, so you're down to 12.
Yes! And it worked beautifully. I rolled a 12 on the die.
Ooh.
So that's going to be 15 extra hit points.
Fantastic. Talmud, you need them. So yeah, everybody will level up to 3. I believe that's where pretty much everybody's starting to unlock their real benefits. Cantriel will be able to choose her bard at college.
I have a question. If we're doing a short rest between this session and the next session, I have this special ability for everyone who's resting around me, get some extra points to it. How do you want to handle that?
Yeah, that's your Song of Rest, which
Yeah.
I believe grants an extra D6. So everybody, as you decide how you're going to heal up, if you're going to spend a hit dice, regardless, you can all roll 1d6 that you gain the benefits of the Song of Rest to increase your hit points by that right now. And then, yeah, you can spend your hit dice that you have, and then you can also gain the benefits of any new abilities that you gain because of your increase. So, that is episode 4 of the Sunless Citadel mini campaign.
Oh my god.
Called Goblin Territory. Got a little bit dicey there. Thanks to your patron saint, the Chameleon, who is saving your guys' bacon. I'm going to have to modify my graphics to allow for some additional plus, over 10 domain dice. But yeah, this is, as we say every week, is just a phenomenal game. I love playing with all 4 of you. I love the party dynamic. I love the dynamic we all have. And I love the dynamic that the audience brings. So many people in the chat that are keeping things going and are now campaign regulars, JT, D&D, DM, and of course the Chameleon fam hanging out in the chat, along with several others. Friends old and new popping in there. So be sure to tune in to Mini Terrain Domain on Sunday night for, I believe it's episode 29 of Tomb of Annihilation, Cult of Personality, that Megan is also a player in. And then this Monday, October 1st, right here on Mini Terrain Domain at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, it is the premiere of All That Glitters, a Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign in which I am not DMing, but I am a player. And it also features Megan and V and a friend of the channel and my real-world DM for a number of years, Dwight, will be joining us on that campaign. Also, next Wednesday, you'll want to tune in because our chat friend and stand-in for Talmud when he's gone, Jay, JTD and DDM, and V, will both be playing in One Flew Over the Cockatrice's Nest, an Affairs of Dragon one-shot, where the 5 players are playing as dragon wormlings that have been captured by orcs, and they will have to work together to try to escape from the orcs. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I've run about 3 or 4 of these Affairs of Dragons games. And of course, follow all of these amazing people on their various YouTube channels and on their Twitch channels if they have them. We're still waiting for Jeremy to get a Twitter, on their Twitter channels, to see what everybody else is up to on their individual channels. I'm going to give you all one final word as we go around, and that's it. You each get one word by way of saying goodbye. I don't know why I'm doing this weird stuff, but V, what is your final word tonight?
Inspiring.
Jeremy, final word.
Gratitude.
Megan, final word.
Anti-disestablishmentarianism.
It's always got to be one. And Scotty, what's your final word?
Pustule.
Awesome. And I think everybody knows what my final word is going to be. Emitted.